Alright everybody, Chris here. Welcome to the final video of the year, and this is the 2022 post-Christmas Kenny Can't Hang speed build, and this is my entry. This is the old school Revell 1/32 scale SBD 5 Dauntless. Okay. This kit started as a Matchbox kit in the 1977, I believe is what ScaleMate said. And really the only thing that's changed is the picture on the box and the name on the box. Otherwise, it is a 1977 kit. And it was a lot of fun to do an old style kit like this. There are some challenges. It's definitely not a modern Tamiya kit. It doesn't fit great, but it did fit pretty good. There were a few areas that we'll talk about, but for the most part it went together really well. So I did this kit as a tri-colored camo carrier based aircraft. Did my best. I don't know how well it's shown up on camera, just to totally botch the paint up. You know, it's been on a carrier. It's not a smooth automotive paint job. There's been a lot of touch-ups and things done by the carrier crew as it goes into combat and stuff, and it's just worn, and that's what I was trying to go for. I didn't spend as much time as I could weathering it because that stuff takes a long time, and this is, after all, a speed build, and like I said, it's a 1977 kit. But I built this straight out of the box, no modifications to it, because I wanted to do this old style kit. I mean, this thing's so old that the instructions were like on newsprint, if you remember how those used to work. So for the most part, you know, like I said, I've got the tri-colored camo on it, the dark sea blue, the intermediate blue, there's white underneath. These were the kit decals that you see here. These were like, I think my wife could have made decals on the Cricut machine, and they would have been thinner than these things. There's like a long black walkway stripe in here that I went ahead and used a decal on, and like I could like hold it up like it was a piece of paper. You know, I mean, they're just thick. There was a lot of micro solve and micro set used on that stuff. I did do it gear up with the dive brakes deployed. I'm going to hang this from the ceiling. It's a fairly good sized kit, and I just want to hang it from the ceiling because I think that would look best in its vertical. Well, not vertical. They were 70-degree dives, I believe, is what they said they would try and aim for. And so, a couple things I kind of compromised on was this cockpit. Now, if you know, or actually I should say the canopy, if you know anything about the SBD, this is a 5-section canopy. There's one over the pilot, an intermediate section, one over the gunner, and then a windscreen that folds down, and this gun deploys down into the fuselage and these doors close. And when they would go up, he'd flip this windscreen up into his section over his head and slide it underneath this one, and then when they went into a dive, the pilot would slide his canopy back and it would slide over top this one. And they went into that dive canopy open, so in case when they pulled out, if they had to bail out, they were ready to go. Which means this section, center section here, should have another piece on top, one piece in the middle, and then the little windscreen folded up in it. And like I said, 1977 wasn't engineered to do that, and it just became this rear section really just would not go up in there, and the top one set way high, and you know, then I'd been gluing glass to glass, and I just kind of said, well, we'll just let her go. You know, it represents what it needs to represent, and hanging from the ceiling, it'll look okay. The only thing that I added to this kit that's not in the box is this piece of 010 brass wire to represent the antenna. So here you see our gunner. He's got his gun up. It's deployed. The top doors are open. I toned down this red. You know, I didn't use the straight ball red. I put a couple drops of actually this sea blue in it to give it more of a muted look. The bright red was just, I thought, too much. So overall, like I said, you can see some variances, especially in this dark blue and this blue here. There's some points where, you know, I took and said, well, this piece got replaced and they painted it with whatever blue color they had instead of matching it. And there's a couple panels up in here that are blue, and this silver here is where the crew would get up and walk up, and I kind of got more on there than I wanted, but I didn't have the excuse me, didn't have the sponge that I wanted to sponge it properly, and it kind of ended up with a pattern, so I just added too much, I should say. But all in all, like I said, it's a 1977 kit. I didn't change much. You know, I didn't change anything, actually. I built it just the way it was designed. This exhaust is just a solid piece. There's no hole on the end. Now, the fuselage halves went together really well, despite there only being like 3 minute points that registered it. I think there was one here, one back in the tail, and one underneath, little pins and sockets. Up front, there's actually a firewall here, and then there's an engine firewall, and there's some bracing, and you're supposed to be able to take all this stuff off, but 1977 doesn't really fit. Molds are wore out, so I just glued it all together. And this area, kind of like up in here, fit kind of rough. There's a bigger seam here than what I would have liked. But when I looked at pictures of these things, that's a natural panel line because all that did come off on the real aircraft. And just, you know, from wear and stuff, those weren't the best fitting. Plus, this was a plane from the 1940s. So it ended up looking okay. Once I got it painted and stuff, you know, I did a little weathering of the engine oils and stuff, sliding out these panels, which happened and stuff. It ended up looking pretty good. So we'll flip her up and take a look underneath here real quick. Underneath is just your basic white. I used neutral gray wash to kind of tone it down. Again, some minor weathering, engine oils and fuel stains and stuff all slipping out around the cowling and stuff, and then the whole reason we're here, the bomb and the swing down mechanism. So once again, this will be hanging from the ceiling when I'm done, and I think it'll be pretty neat. You know, it was fun building this older kit. Reminded you just how things used to be done and what we used to do back when we were kids. So anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks to all those who participated, and we'll look at doing it again next year. Have a good one, everybody, and Happy New Year.